average investors are probably looking at the Dow and the NASDAQ and the S&P and probably getting a little worried because it's all in the red. What do you think that they should be thinking?
So here's what you got to do, because the story has definitely changed a little bit between what it was in October, November, and maybe what it is now that we're starting to get some new macro data that's just starting to come out. We saw the PMI today. PMI in this country is still positive. I think it came out at 54 and change, but it was weaker than the expectation. And then numbers within the PMI, manufacturing numbers within the PMI were weaker than expected. And so that is starting to flash a little bit of a signal, not anything to be super panicked about yet, and the market is still kind of within a range that's considered correction. NASDAQ might be in bear market territory, but the broader market is still in a correction phase, so nothing to get really concerned about yet. But if the story continues to change, and certainly this story was all driven by China, driven by Apple and then Apple's comments about China, but you also have to look what Timmy Cook is doing. He actually came right out. He's addressing it head on. He's not hiding behind, his CEO suite. This is not Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and Sandberg hiding behind kind of this negative news. He came out. He's addressing it. He wrote a letter. He explained the accounting differences. He explained about how the shift from one quarter to the next. And so I don't necessarily think that the one earnings report is going to be that significant. I think what people and investors have to start to really focus on is, okay, are we going to get more of these letters coming from more CEOs as we go through the earnings season? Are they all going to start to identify the emerging markets? Emerging markets is code for the greater China, right? Taiwan, Hong Kong, and China. And so I think that's what you really have to be sensitive to is the number of letters that we get, or the number of concerns that we get from CEOs, and then how they quantify and qualify what they think is happening. But I also think then this is going to cause people to knock on the door of the White House and say to Donnie Trump, maybe you got to rethink your strategy a little bit. Maybe that we need to be more cooperative. Maybe you should not dig your heels in the ground so much. Otherwise, I guess what people are going to start to say is that his policies will in fact then start to really rumble the global economy. And you're starting to see a little bit. You start in China's PMI last week, right? That's kind of what started a little bit of the nervousness. But so I think there's a lot on the calendar still. But I think that long-term investors have to look at where this now creates moves like this, where it now creates value, right? Names that have gotten so beaten up are actually become valuable.